What brings me joy personally, and I think is a common thread for the team here at Embarc, is that there is a passion to see founders succeed. So we say that we're founder focused, founder first, and we actually follow through with that if you look closely.
Welcome to the CyberBay podcast. I'm your host and producer, Sarina Gandy, and today's episode features Tim Holcomb, the CEO of the Embarc Collective, a nonprofit organization here in Tampa that's helping startup founders succeed. Welcome to the CyberBay podcast, Tim.
Oh, glad to be here.
It is amazing to be here in Embarc. We haven't even made it all the way in yet, and the energy of this space is so nice and vibrant. What is it like for you coming to work and know that this is where you get to do it?
It's awesome. I mean, the reality is we have 300 people running around with their hair on fire. The energy is exciting. The fact that we've got companies that are solving some of the world's most pressing problems really creates a lot of enthusiasm for our entire team.
The Embarc Collective is one of those places that feels difficult to define at first. In previous interviews, Tim has described it as not a co-working space, not an accelerator, and not a tech incubator. So what exactly is it? At its core, Embarc is a support system for founders, a place designed to help early-stage startups grow, connect, and navigate the realities of building something from the ground up.
Our mission is to engage, serve, and support founders of Florida-based early-stage tech startups. A lot of words to that. In reality, our why is outcome-focused. So we're really geared towards building into the founder, and as I mentioned earlier, providing the resources she needs or he needs to in turn build and develop a platform that solves a particular problem in the market.
Located in downtown Tampa, only minutes away from some of the region's major cyber unicorns, Embarc feels deeply connected to the energy of Tampa Bay's evolving innovation scene. But what really stood out to me wasn't just the location, it was the atmosphere. The space felt open, vibrant, and genuinely welcoming, from the team at the front desk to the founders working throughout the building. And after meeting Tim, that feeling really started to make sense. He carries himself with the same energy as the space around him, thoughtful, approachable, and deeply passionate. So before we talked about Embarc itself, I wanted to understand the person helping shape it. I would really love to know from your words, I've done a good amount of research on you, but I would love to know, who is Tim? Who are you? How did you end up where you are today? Tell me a little bit about your journey.
Wow, it's a great question. I'm on my fifth career stop, probably my last. Yeah. Certainly if my wife has anything to say, if you're watching that, Wanda, I've been listening to you. I started out in the 80s in consulting, and I spent 13 years at what today is Accenture. When I began in the consulting world, it was still Arthur Andersen's Management Information Consulting Division. I was there 13 years, went through, as I like to say, a name change and a split, and then decided I wanted to start a company. Wasn't smart enough to start one. Started 4 tech companies at one time. They were born global at a time when the U.S. Market was embracing what at the time was 3G technology. So they were wireless telecom companies. We were backed by Bear Stearns in an $11 million growth round, and built a company that over 18 months that had 300 employees, 45 clients in 15 countries, and then exited in the sale of the company to multinational Flextronics, joined the management team, built and ran the network services division, moved to Europe for the 5th time and to Sweden for the 2nd time. And when I left 2 years later, we had 6,000 employees and an $800 million run rate. Decided to go back to school, got a PhD from Texas A&M University, and really the full circle moment for me in the connective tissue back to Embarc came when I joined the faculty at Florida State University. 3 years, and that was 2007. 3 years later, I was named the executive director of the Jim Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship, and about a month or two after being named the executive director there, I got a call from a young entrepreneur, Brian Murphy, who we know today as founder and CEO of ReliQuest. At the time, he had a small team of maybe 10 to 15 people. This would have been 2010. And we got to talking. He wanted some mentoring and coaching. At the time, to be honest, didn't know much about Brian other than he was a Florida State grad. But we struck up a relationship and have been friends now for 16 years. I was an advisor to the firm. I helped Brian and his team close their first growth equity round with FTV Capital in 2017. Joined the board of directors, served on the board of directors for about 5 years. So my familiarity with Tampa and the Tampa Bay community came through, let's say, frequent annual trips back and forth to the area in working with Brian and the leadership team at ReliQuest. Along the way, Brian introduced me to Jeff Vinnick. Jeff is the father of Embarc. It was his desire to create a platform that could attract and retain tech talent that is the genesis for what today is Embarc Collective. Lakshmi Shinor is our founding CEO, and when Lakshmi and her husband Ryan decided to go back to Chicago, I got a call from our chair, board chair, who today is Brian Murphy. Oh, and that's how I'm ended up here. So that, for me, this is it's a bit of a full circle moment in terms of landing at Embarc, but I've been in and around the entrepreneurship world now for the better part of 3 decades.
You're right, you have lived like 5 different lives just within the one. You have been a founder, professor, director, you're CEO now. What is it about the entrepreneurial world that brought you back, that made you do that full circle?
I can say with some conviction and humility that when I was younger, I used to be motivated by what I refer to as a bright, shiny object. The software, the platform, or the solution. And the reality is, the older I got, the more, I guess, the more wisdom I acquired. And over time, it became clear that it's really not about the solution, it's about the founder. And what brings me joy personally, and I think is a common thread for the team here at Embarc, is that there is a passion to see founders succeed. So we like to, we say that we're founder focused, founder first, and we actually follow through with that. If you look closely at what Embarc offers, we have a platform that orbits around the founder, with the idea being that we can build into her, and by building into her, she's going to in turn build a successful company that will endure and succeed going forward.
Through years of experience across entrepreneurship, investment, and startup growth, Tim developed a first-hand understanding of just how difficult building a company can be, especially in the earliest stages. That perspective is now helping to shape the mission behind Embarc Collective, creating the kind of support system that many founders don't realize they need until they're already in it.
Entrepreneurship is one of those funny things that if you ask 10 people to give you a definition, you get 10 different definitions, but every one of them have a twinkle in their eye. I mean, there's just this people become enamored with the Elon Musks and the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. But they lose sight of the fact that there are thousands behind those that tried and didn't succeed. And so while our mission is geared towards engaging with and serving those founders, regardless of where they are in their journey, regardless of whether this is their first time or their third time to start a company, we like to say that we don't, we're not an out-of-the-box, one-size-fits-all environment, we have a very intentional 90-day onboarding process. For example, that when a founder and a founding team join, we actually customize our curricular programming and then assign our coaching based on where that team is in its journey.
Wow, okay, so that is very personalized, and I think is probably a big reason why Embarc has been so successful in helping the founders. You know, one of my main questions I think coming in here today is kind of, what are you guys doing differently from everybody else? Because you have had such a high success rate. I think I read that 96% of companies associated with Embarc have been successful, and that is absolutely incredible. So I can already hear a little bit of what you guys are doing differently, but on a day-to-day basis, what does that really look like?
Yeah, you know, starting a company, it's hard, it's lonely, and at the end of the day, it sucks.
Yeah.
And what I've learned and what our team has really embraced is what's most difficult for a founder isn't identifying a problem, although that is very important. In fact, the top reason why a tech startup fails is because it solves a problem that nobody cares about. But it's not the problem, it's not the market, the audience, the customer base, it's not the solution, it's coming to grips with how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. By definition, when you're building a high-growth tech company, you're generally doing something that hasn't been done before. Nobody wants to start Uber because that's already been done. And so there's this tension that's naturally created. It's that tension that in many respects we refer to as a fight, flight, freeze syndrome. And so a lot of what Embarc has developed over time in our platform, the programming, the coaching and mentoring, the community connections, our connectivity back to the corporate university investor community is intentionally designed not just to provide resources, but to provide comfort, confidence, and conviction for the founders to succeed. So when we talk about survival, no founder I've ever met, no successful founder, started the company with the number one goal to survive.
Yeah.
But there's always this tension that an early stage tech company faces, and that's, I think I have a problem, I think I have a market, I think I have a solution, and the first year or two or three is spent trying to achieve what the lean startup community refers to as product market fit. That is, shifting from I think I have a problem, I think I have a market, I think I have a solution, to I know, and it's time to grow. And so most of our focus is on helping founders achieve that level of validation. And what's interesting is that our survival rates are a byproduct of founders engaging in the resources that we provide. So one of the reasons I draw a sharp distinction between what Embarc does and a co-working space is intentional. We have 30 offices here so roughly a third of our community are actually physically housed here. But we don't view ourselves as a co-working space. In fact, I've jokingly said if someone comes to the lobby and asks if they can rent an office, we'll point them down the street to WeWork and invite them to go rent an office here. Really, that's not what we're geared to do. That's not the reason why we exist. The reason why we exist is to provide the programming and coaching that orbits around the founder, that provides her what she needs to reach that level of product market fit and ultimately scale her business.
Wow. So Embarc is indeed much more than a co-working space for founders. It's built around support, connection, and the realities of what it actually means to build something from nothing. What kept coming back to me during my conversation with Tim was the intentionality behind it all. Embarc doesn't just offer one type of resource or pathway to success. It offers a full-circle community that supports founders through the difficult days, offers resources to help guide them towards their wins, and creates space for people to learn from one another along the way. Something I've definitely learned is it's all in who you know and the connections you can make and being able to have a space where you can connect with other people who kind of understand what you're experiencing, and you can bounce those ideas off of each other. I think that is incredibly important and is a huge reason as well.
You've hit on what is one of the probably the two advantages to founders being a part of the community. One, I think, is our coaches. Our coaches do an extraordinary job. We approach coaching and mentoring a little bit differently. They're part of our team. They are 1099 contractors, so they engage purposefully and intentionally with our community, and they are, in many respects, the eyes and ears of the full-time Embarc team. The second, at the end of the day, we have 300 founders, 300 founders and co-founders. These intentional and unintentional collisions that occur create this environment where operators are mentoring operators. The scariest thing that a founder goes through is experiencing something he hasn't experienced before. Mm-hmm. And it's not uncommon for me to walk out to the member kitchen and hear two founders talking about an experience where one's sharing a frustration and going on and on about that frustration, and the other chiming in, I get it. Mm-hmm. I've been there. I may not be able to tell you what's going to happen tomorrow, but I can tell you there's probably one or two or three things. And just that empathy and that reasonable focus that a peer in the community can provides a lot of relief. And it as simple as that sounds, and as almost as that it brings to the environment are the powerful components that being a part of the Embarc Collective community brings to founders.
Wow, that must be such a rewarding feeling for everybody who's part of the Embarc team to see that happening in real time, to see them being able to work through those things together. And it's pretty funny because my next question actually was, how intentional is the community piece of what Embarc is building?
Well, it is intentional.
Yeah.
We have, as I mentioned before, we have 19 coaches and mentors that bring to the Embarc community deep functional expertise in different areas. So we have product engineering, platform development. We have a talent strategist, PR, media and PR strategist, a SaaS B2B sales strategist. We have legal, fundraising. We even have a wellness coach. Wow. So they all bring a particular discipline. The benefit of having these coaches who are part of our team is that they're not engaging with one or two companies. They're engaging with 10 or 15 over a period of time, over a month or 2 months or 3 months. They tend to see blind spots that occur across the community. So there is a kind of an informal community relationship network that emerges just a result of being a part of that community where founders engage with others. We also, last year we hosted over 45 workshops. Those workshops were led by our coaches. They are designed around specific blind spots that our founders are consistently dealing with. A good example of that is a number of our companies here are B2B sales, B2B SaaS platforms that are a struggle with how do I build a sales organization. Mm-hmm. Early on, the CEO and chief revenue officer is the same person. It's the founder. Yeah. But as that company begins to achieve some level of traction, the needs of the sales function outgrow the capacity of the founder, and building a team, a sales team, to go to market becomes a real challenge. And we've got Kristen Koenig, who is our B2B sales strategist, steps in, works on a one-to-one basis, and has created a series of workshops to help those founders address building an organization and developing the narrative to go to market.
So kind of going into more of like the cybersecurity technology side of things. I know that you have a wide range of those companies that are here and working here and learning from you guys. What have you noticed in the past maybe 5 years or so? How have you seen the ecosystem changing here in the Tampa Bay region?
That's a great question. At the end of the day, density matters. And where there's a lot of general conversations I've heard recently around the availability of capital and talent. I think the practical reality is that, speaking in general terms, talent and capital follows opportunities, not programs. And so what we've seen just in Tampa Bay, in this region, particularly as relates to cybersecurity, within a 15 square block area, you've got at least four unicorn technology companies: ReliaQuest, Align, ConnectWise, and KnowBe4. So it should come as no surprise that I know Arnie Bellini has coined the term CyberBay, which is obviously the acronym of the term for the podcast here.
Yes.
But but I think it's an accurate representation of four unicorn companies serving different aspects of the cybersecurity world that have created a density in the Bay Area that consists of, I don't know the actual numbers, but I'm going to guess it's north of 5,000 employees. These are 5,000 individuals who are steeped in a particular industry that is one of the world's most pressing challenges. The last thing that a CEO or a CIO or a CTO wants to have to deal with is go to their investors and say, hey, a bad actor hacked us and have stolen fill in the blank, or have disrupted a major business that's going to cost us fill in the blank. But if we look at specifically at Tampa, density matters. And the fact that we have a density in the cybersecurity area is a reflection of what's happened over the past decade, the investment that founders like Arnie and Brian Murphy and Scott Price and others have made to address a need in the market, to take the risk, personal risk, and then later the financial risk, to build service platforms that serve today hundreds, if not thousands, of the world's largest companies.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people used to feel like they had to move, like to Silicon Valley or even to Austin to kind of, make their founding dreams come true. And I'm curious, what would you say to a cyber or tech, startup founder who is questioning whether Tampa would be a good spot for them?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Yeah. Wow. That's a great question. I would say if you're thinking of leaving, don't.
Yeah.
If you're considering where to go, come here for a lot of reasons. If you look at, and let me give you some general data here. If you look at the state of Florida, ranked number 1, 10 consecutive years in higher ed. So the talent production that's coming out of the universities in Florida is second to nowhere in the nation. Wow. And that includes California, Illinois, New York, and everywhere in between. Number 1. Number 2, Florida leads the way nationally in terms of business startups. So if you're looking to leave, the question is why? Why would you do that? Because others are coming here to be a part of the ecosystem. The other data point that I'll give you is that I've heard a lot of the naysayers talk about, well, the capital's not here. Well, the reality is Florida's ranked number 5 for venture activity transactions, number 7 for the amount of funding raised last year by PitchBook. So the reality is, while the funders may not actually be here, the funding is making its way to where the opportunities exist. Specifically around cyber and cybersecurity, when you look at, let's look at USF, the investment that with Arnie Bellini's support, that USF has made in establishing the first named AI, cybersecurity, and computing school in the nation. Not the first among many, the first, period.
That's crazy.
And while it'll take some time for the talent to begin flowing through that. The reality is that in and of itself is an indication not that we're committed necessarily to be a leader, but that our commitment over the last decade has produced enough traction that we can provide opportunities for the talent that's going to graduate and look for jobs here in the Tampa Bay area. Cybersecurity, we talk about it as an industry sector. The reality is it cuts across. So, I mean, these are the security, the issues, network, data, and transactional security are issues that are faced across different industry sectors. So, while a firm may specialize in retail, point of sale, or healthcare, or fill in the blank, I think probably the challenge is they're trying to tailor the messaging of security in the context of the industry verticals that they serve. And frankly, that's I would actually consider the cybersecurity industry more as a technology play than it is necessarily as an industry or market sector play, in part because of the what we refer to as the deep tech that's being deployed. Let's take ReliQuest for example. I'm actually familiar with them because for obvious reasons. Their commitment to an investment in gray matter has produced an agentic AI platform that is driving real value to companies that are looking for security at SOC 1, SOC 2 level. And it's been a game changer, not just for ReliQuest, as we've seen locally with all the recent announcements around fundraising and their $3.4 billion market valuation, but also to the companies that an organization like ReliQuest serves. So, but it's predicated on how do I take this technology and apply it across different sectors. Here at Embarc, for example, you mentioned earlier that we have lots of industry sectors represented. Yes, we do. We have 145 early stage tech startups and growth companies in our community. They represent 60 different sectors or subsectors, however you define it. We have, surprisingly, or not surprisingly, we have 25 early stage tech companies in healthcare, life sciences, and med tech. We have a big initiative underway now to support medical device and biotech and life sciences. Medical device is part of our partnership with Tampa General and the Tampa Medical and Research District, and then biotech and life sciences through our work with Spiros, which is the research medical district that's being developed by Moffitt Cancer Center up in Pasco. And then obviously we recently announced our partnership with the Florida Council 100 to be the statewide home. But that's an industry sector that has very clear security challenges.
Yes.
You do not want patient data hacked and available on the dark web or on the regular web, and available for all to see. So I think some of the challenges that we're seeing, and now back to your original question, in cyber really hones into the needs of the individual sector. Our work we have 17 companies in fintech, prop tech, and legal tech. So there are a lot of issues that financial companies like a JP Morgan. I heard the CIO, Lori Beam, present yesterday at a luncheon, and she talked about the unique challenges that JP Morgan faces in security. $12 trillion a day is processed by the systems that JP Morgan supports. So if you think about the ramifications of a bad actor penetrating the network that JP Morgan supports, it puts in context the importance and the relevance, the value proposition for companies that are developing security platforms to protect organizations like JP Morgan and others from the nefarious bad actors that are out there.
As cybersecurity, AI, and emerging technologies continue to shape Tampa Bay's growth, the need for collaboration between founders, universities, corporations, and the broader community is becoming increasingly important. And that's where partnerships have become such an important part of Embarc's mission. Through collaborations with organizations like the University of South Florida, they're helping students, founders, and industry leaders in ways that strengthen not just individual companies, but the entire talent pipeline growing here in Tampa Bay.
I spent much of my first year here at Embarc. I called it with the posture of outward facing into the market to engage the corporates and universities in our community as well as the investors. I'll come back to them a little later. My interest in engaging the university community is a bit personal, having spent almost 20 years in higher ed. But the practical reality is it makes sense. If you look at particularly the early stage, high growth companies, the second most important resource in addition to cash, capital, is talent. And I shared with Rhea Law when I first came here that I have a deep appreciation for what universities do well. I also recognize there are a couple of things they don't do a great job at. And one of those is placement, and it's not necessarily an indictment of anything that USF is doing or for that matter, a UF or UCF or Florida State. It's the fact that they're graduating. So many graduates hit the market that career services spends a lot of time selling, let's call it large lot sizes to big companies. Startups typically are at the end of the line. Right. And when in fact their need for talent is as great, if not greater than large corporate companies like a J.P. Morgan or a Procter & Gamble or a ReliQuest for that matter. So our partnership with USF and with the other university partners that are part of our program is intended to address four key areas. One, we've established a talent pipeline. So earlier this year, we connected our job board to Handshake. And so we are now able to list and promote internships and job opportunities for the 145 companies that are in our community. Wow. With the support of the Genspiration Foundation, which is Judy Genschaft's and her husband Steve's foundation, we're able to provide funding for undergraduate and graduate students from the University of South Florida to get internships in the spring, summer, and fall with companies in the Embarc community.
I can just see how perfectly startups and students would fit well together, because students, they're so eager to learn and to get their hands wet and to try things out and really learn. And I feel like startups, the energy is very different. There is a lot going on, and I know you really get the opportunity to try a bunch of different things and wear many hats. So that's pretty amazing. Very
true. In fact, what we've done here, because of that, the very point that you raised, Sarina, is that we've wrapped programming around the internship experience so that the student has the opportunity to participate, like our founders and founding team members do, in the content that we provide to the broader community. So an intern that's joining us for 10 to 12 weeks can sit in the workshops, can engage in a specific AI or agentic AI workshops, can learn about how to sell into a large corporation, that can get experience in how do you build a leadership team, which are some of the workshops they provide. We also, through our coaches, we provide access to the coaches and mentors, so they're able to get input on their resumes and on how they create their LinkedIn profiles and what works and what doesn't work in the broader business community. So it's a realization that it's as important for the students to get experience with startups, but it's also equally important that they're able to benefit from that intellectual connectivity that can provide real value to them down the road.
And now it's time for the Tampa Bay Lightning Round with Tim Holcomb. What is your favorite place to take someone who is visiting Tampa Bay?
A Lightning game. I mean, I believe it or not, I'm a Southern boy, but I grew up or spent my first 20 years in Dallas, and I moved there right about the time that the Minnesota North Stars relocated to Dallas, and just fell in love with hockey and the environment. Thank you, Jeff Finnick. Is just phenomenal in what today is the benchmark international arena and the opportunities. So I love the environment. It's a lot of fun. They do a great job there. So I would say that, and I'll put a 1B into that, and that's the Gasparilla Parade. It is. In particular, the children's parade. I have 3 grandchildren, and it was a blast the first year we came, when we first moved here, our first year to go to the Gasparilla Parade.
What is your favorite coffee spot in Tampa for a Founders Meeting?
Well, I would be remiss if I said anything other than Cup. Our next door neighbor, Cup is a nonprofit or not-for-profit, just like Embarc, and they've been here for several years. And great location, as you might know by now. And Cup being right next to us is a great partner of ours. All of the coffee that we offer we provide free of charge to our founders is offered through Cup. So grab a cup of coffee at Cup, join us on the patio, and it's a great location.
What is a book or a podcast that you would recommend to founders right now?
Well, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek. He's written quite a few books, but I believe it's his first book on Start With Why is had a powerful impact on me and just how I think about startups and problems. I think I may have shared earlier that the number one reason why startups fail isn't because they don't have enough capital, and it isn't because they don't have access to talents, because they end up solving a problem nobody would care about. So they haven't really fallen in love with the problem domain, and they really haven't understood it well enough to know that there's a true pain point for founders. I love what Simon says about this analogy here of people don't go to Home Depot to buy a 2-inch drill bit. They go to Home Depot because they need a 2-inch hole, and they need a drill bit to accommodate that. And so I think there's a lot of truth in that. And so Start With Why is one of my favorites.
My final question for you is, if you could choose your ultimate walk-up song for a keynote speech, what song would be playing in the background?
Oh, good heavens. Lord. It would be... I'm not even sure it's the name of the song. We Will Rock You.
Oh, that's a great one.
And in large part because it's just got so much energy, and there's a kind of a subtle hum when you walk around the community here of this intensity that comes with, or the edginess that comes with the community of founders that we have here.
Yes.
That'd be my walk-up song.
I love that. I will blast it on the way home, and I will think of you and embody the energy of the Embarc Collective. Tim, I can't thank you enough. This has been wonderful learning about you and the Embarc Collective here and what you guys are doing. It's incredible. I'm excited to see it continue evolving. It is such a value to the Tampa Bay region. So thank you for all the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure to be a part of this podcast.
Thank you for listening to the CyberBay podcast, produced by Sarina Gandy and powered by Cyber Florida. You can find us on Instagram at CyberBayPod, and be sure to follow us on LinkedIn to stay up to date with the latest CyberBay news. See you next time.